Welcome to Season 2, Episode 3 of Angela Watson's Truth for Teachers. I'm your host, Angela Watson, and I'm here to speak life, encouragement, and truth into the minds and hearts of educators and get you energized for the week ahead. Today, I'm going to share some thoughts on figuring out what you need to buy for your classroom and what's just a want. Visit truthforteachers.com to get the transcript, links to recommended resources, and to share your thoughts on the show. So August and September are very expensive months for educators as we try to navigate all the back-to-school advertisements. Often we need to buy basic supplies like pencils and paper for our students. And we see adorable decorations on Pinterest that we need to buy craft supplies for. And we see awesome books that we want to purchase, things for our classroom libraries and for our own reference. And we see lesson after poster after game, all kinds of amazing things on Teachers Pay Teachers that we suddenly realize we can't live without. So where should you spend your money in order to get the most bang for your buck? First, I want to make it clear that you do not have to spend any of your own money on your classroom in order to be an effective teacher. That's a fact. Don't be pressured by all the adorable classrooms that you see online and feel like you're supposed to buy all these decorations and color coordinate everything in your classroom. Don't worry about what everyone else is getting. The items that you need for your classroom are going to be different from what everyone else needs because no two teachers are alike. No two groups of students are alike. So no two classrooms need to be alike. The materials that you have already will do just fine. The teacher is the element that makes learning feel magical. Your presentation and personality and enthusiasm, those are the things that can really hook kids into activities that don't have adorable clip art on them or center materials that aren't color-coded. So before you buy anything for your classroom, I strongly advise you to look carefully at your finances and set a reasonable budget that your whole family can live with. There's nothing worse than buying things for school and then having to hide them from your spouse so he or she doesn't know how much you spent. Make a logical decision about what kind of budget is reasonable for your situation and decide in advance how much money you would be comfortable knowing that you've spent at the end of the year. I prefer a quarterly budget, actually. I break my annual budget down into 4 amounts, and I allocate more for the beginning of the year and for other times when I know that I'm going to generally want to buy a lot of things. So write your budget down and don't exceed it. And if you do go over, know that you will force yourself to go under that amount for the following year. Keep in mind there's always going to be more things that you think you need. Just as you've had to accept that you can't buy an item from every single fashion trend that you like, you have to accept the fact that you can't buy every classroom material that's on the market or something from every classroom trend that you like. And that's okay. Not buying things from your classroom doesn't make you a bad teacher any more than not buying a new outfit makes you a bad dresser. So don't feel guilty about saying no. If you're spending money out of your own pocket on your classroom, in my opinion, it should be for one of the 3 following reasons. It makes you happy, it saves you time and energy, or it directly and profoundly benefits your students. Hopefully even more than one of those 3 things. So I'll go through and talk about each one of them individually. Let's start with something that makes you happy. I mean, yes, our classroom should be centered around our students' needs. We know that. But you're a real human being. You have real needs and real emotions and real feelings, and you're spending 40 hours or more a week in this classroom. You have every right to make your classroom feel like your home away from home. It needs to be someplace that you enjoy going to. So if decor is important to you, then make your classroom someplace that brings a smile to your face. Make it a place that feels comfortable and cozy and welcoming for you and your students. And similarly, if it makes you happy to have beautiful centers and perfectly, color-coordinated book bins in your classroom library, then the financial trade-off will be worth it. Just be careful not to impulse buy or go over your budget, because then you're going to end up not being happy in your personal life when you can't buy the things that you want and need outside of work. Choose every item that enters your classroom with intention. To adapt a William Morris quote, don't bring it in if you don't know it to be useful or believe it to be beautiful. Too much decoration and stuff is going to create a distracting learning environment for your kids. It's just going to become more clutter for you to clean and to organize and to maintain. So make a Pinterest board of all the stuff that you'd love to buy because it makes you happy to look at it or to use it with your kids. And set a budget for yourself. And then allocate the money from your budget to only the things that you love the most. The second reason to buy something is because it saves you time and energy. And these are the things that I buy probably the most of, because time and energy are our most precious resources as educators. I would not hesitate to trade $3 for a form that would have taken me hours to create on my own, or for a form that is going to save me hours of assessment or data collection time with students. What's $3 in comparison to that? My free time is worth way more than $3. I wouldn't hesitate to trade $15 for a complete unit of hands-on activities that are aligned to my standards, rather than spend every weekend for a month compiling activities, one from here, one from there, and then trying to figure out how to tie it all together. If it's already been done in a way that's really meaningful and that I know I can adapt for my students' needs as I go along, sure, I'll trade money for time in that instance. So just a side note here, let's not download everything that we see for free on the internet and staple it together into a packet of worksheets and call that a lesson. Let's be thoughtful about the activities that we have our students completing. Just because something is free on the internet doesn't mean that it's high quality or that it's worth doing. There are a lot of freebies out there that are honestly just total garbage. They're a waste of your students' time. I think it's smarter to pay the $5 for what you really need, or make it yourself, or do without it. But whatever we choose, we have to be thoughtful in our lesson planning and make sure we're teaching with the end goal in mind. We have to always be looking to what our students need to know and how we can best support them in meeting objectives, rather than just what's cute or what would be fun or what's free and just staring at our faces online and we figure, oh, why not just download it and use it? It's right here. Be intentional with every single thing you bring into your classroom. No junk, even if it's free. You and your students deserve better than that. The third reason to buy something is because it directly and profoundly benefits your students. You'll get the most for your money if you look for items that are open-ended and versatile. So if you're buying materials with your own hard-earned money, they should be things that you can use over and over again. A set of worksheets that you can only use at Thanksgiving might not be the best use of your money if you have a small budget. So let's say your budget is $25 this month. You got 10 things on your wish list. I would suggest picking the ones that will directly and profoundly benefit your students on an ongoing basis. Look for things that you can use every single day, or else use repeatedly throughout the year. Look for things that your students are going to be crazy about, things that are going to get them so engaged in the activities that they won't want to stop learning. Look for things that help them understand the concepts that you find most difficult to teach. Ultimately, our classrooms are about our students. So be intentional when you shop. Look for things that directly and profoundly impact them on an ongoing basis. So those are my 3 guiding principles when I'm trying to figure out what to buy. I'll spend my own money on things that make me really happy, things that save me a ton of time and energy, and things that directly and profoundly impact kids. Remember, your teaching strategies matter more than your teaching materials. Kids learn best from teachers who care about them and who are passionate about their work. The fancy materials are just the icing on the cake. You don't need it all, and you don't need it all right now. Your classroom is a work in progress. Let your room evolve as the kids start taking ownership of it. Add to it together. Think carefully about what to keep, what to buy, what to toss out. In everything you do, be intentional. This concept of intention is so important that the takeaway truth I want you to remember this week is adapted from an anonymous quote which says, "Live less out of habit and more out of intention." Today, I'm encouraging you to teach less out of habit and more out of intention. Buy less out of habit and more out of intention. Thanks for listening. Have a fantastic week. You can do this. And remember, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be worth it. Truth for Teachers is a proud member of the Education Podcast Network. Podcasts for educators, podcasts by educators. For more great podcast recommendations, go to edupodcastnetwork.com. That's edupodcastnetwork.com.